achiever, it's your strengths that have gotten you where you are, right? It's your strengths that have helped you climb the corporate ladder or develop a thriving business or become the go to person in your field. So, what happens when you hit a wall? When you encounter some situation where the very strengths that made you successful are no longer working, they actually start to feel like limitations. It can feel really scary to think of the prospect of what's it going to take for me to get through this situation, whether it's a shift in leadership in your organization, whether it's a career pivot, maybe it's some kind of personal reckoning. What's it going to take to get through that? Do you have to shut down all your strengths, do some kind of personality transplant and become somebody you're not? No, not at all. Hi, I'm Dr. Jan Anderson. I'm a psychologist with a business background, and I have expertise and experience in this process of how to reinvent yourself, personally or professionally. And here's some really good news. No, you don't have to become a totally different person to be successful now. You don't have to lose who you are. Reinventing yourself doesn't mean you give up who you are. It means you become more of who you are. It's not about subtraction, it's about expansion, expanding your range, giving you more capabilities, more choices. I'd like to take you inside the process of how to reinvent yourself with three real life examples of people who successfully reinvented themselves without losing themselves. They added something new, and that changed everything. The first example I like to call I'm the poison you need. This is a story about a young executive who was hired into a company by the company founders as the heir apparent CEO. They hired him in to shake things up. And boy, did he, fast, with impact. He was brash, he was very bright, he was driven, and he made an impact, and he did it with a lot of conflict. Within a year, his brash style was really conflicting with the company founders and others within the company. So, a year in, he was at risk of losing his job. His confidence was really shaken. What was so frustrating to this young executive is they had hired him in to change things up, but they didn't want him to do anything different. It was so frustrating. He said, I know where this industry is headed, and I know how to get this company in position for it. But I'm like the poison they need, but they don't want to take it. I said, yeah, that's really interesting. It's like, have you realized too, though, that you have the very same dilemma they do? Because here you are wanting them to change, and you don't want to have to do anything different. What if there was a way that I could show you how to do something different that would be more effective, and it wouldn't feel like I'm judging you, that there's anything wrong with your brash, kick butt approach? You just want to put it in your back pocket. It's not pressing the delete button on your personality. It's simply giving you more capability, more options. And I could see, as he paused, I could see the mental wheels turning, but even more importantly, I sensed a click that we call an aha moment. An aha moment, this is what the neuroscientists tell us, is that it's that moment when you have an awareness and it is a change in your thinking, but it's accompanied by, and this is the important part, an emotional shift. There's a felt sense, it's visceral, that happens in your body at the same time. It's the difference between knowing something and just thinking it. You know it. And it's very empowering. It moves you to action. That's what I was sensing in this young executive. I would say that this client actually had two emotional shifts, two clicks in his brain. One of them was relief, um, because he sensed that I wasn't saying there's something wrong with you that has to be fixed or changed. You still get to be who you are. Well, our brains resist change when it feels like something's being taken away from us, like we're going to lose something. It's called loss aversion. And I was getting rid of that. We were taking that off the table. We're not talking about taking anything away, we're talking about adding something. The other really interesting part, though, is that I also think he felt a sense of empathy. He started realizing that he and his bosses, they've got the very same problem. He actually said that in one of his sessions. I'm kind of feeling some empathy for these guys. I know what it feels like, you know, to want something to change but not want to do anything different myself. So it was really interesting how that shift, that empathy, translated into him becoming less adversarial at work. It's really what helped him start to turn things around and end up, you know, proving himself and starting to build trust within that organization. It was really fun to be part of that with him. This next example I call the physician who couldn't end a marriage that had seriously stalled. When he showed up, this physician said, I can't get my partner to even discuss it. I can't get him to even talk about it. So I can't get him on board. I haven't been able to move forward with even filing. So I said, then you're not going to be able to get a divorce ever. And he just stared at me, stunned. But I said, well, as long as you make filing for divorce conditional upon getting his permission, his agreeing with you and cooperating, it's not going to happen. And so far, his tactics are working great. He just won't talk about it. End of discussion. Nothing happens. And in that moment, I could see the aha moment starting to emerge. You know, there's usually a pause. You can see the mental wheels turning, but there's that felt sense, that emotional, visceral sense of something is shifting inside that person. And that's what was happening for him. In fact, the neuroscientists say that moment when there's that emotional click is when new neural pathways form in your brain. It's called synaptic plasticity. The old neural pathways get weaker and new neural pathways start forming. He was literally starting to think differently. It's like, oh, this is what it's going to take. This is what it will be like if I want this divorce. And once he got that click, he very efficiently moved forward. I call this last example the how getting an MBA completely rewired this woman's personal life. So, of course, she didn't start the MBA program to do that. She started it to level up her career, and it did a beautiful job of doing that. But something unexpected happened. She got in touch with a part of herself that could think strategically. We started calling it her strategic thinker. But up until that point, the things that had really moved her forward in her career and her life, well, are what more I would call survival skills. She had incredible grit, endurance, adaptability. But when the strategic thinker part of her got up and running, all of a sudden she could anticipate, she could plan. And what she started doing is carefully planning an exit strategy from a very abusive personal relationship. So, in that process, she had to keep all her original strengths. It took endurance. It took about a year to carefully plan and execute that strategy and do it in a way that kept her safe. And yet, she was bringing in all her new skills of strategic thinking, how to anticipate, and it helped her get through that. And once she got going, it was really fun to work with her because this was like a personal growth spur. You know, there wasn't any stopping her. The next thing she tackled was some family. relationships that were very out of balance. So she started renegotiating better boundaries, recalibrating things with a number of family members. And then she still kept going. The next thing she decided to tackle was she wanted to enter midlife dating. And now she was prepared to do that on her terms. And now she had both sets of skills to work with. But that's what reinventing yourself really means. You don't lose who you are. You don't lose what has worked in the past. You're adding to it. It's giving you more tools, more insight, more internal allies. You know what the best part of this reinvention process is? You don't have to force it. It's not driven by grit or shame, it's curiosity. You just start getting curious about these parts of yourself that are underdeveloped or underused, that you've just been too busy, too stressed, too stuck to pay much attention to until now. The great thing about reinventing yourself is that it's simply a way of expanding your range, and you get to do it in a way that still feels like you. Would you like to take one of your pain points and turn it into a power play? I'd love to talk with you about how to do that. You don't need to overhaul your personality. You don't need to become somebody new. You just need a better strategy. Here's how to book a consultation with me.